I first got involved with Deer Antler Magic because I bought another type of coloring system from somebody on eBay. I got a bunch of bags of dirt and it took me forever, and I was covered with filth up to my elbows. When I get done, I had dirty antlers and I thought it was a total waste of time and money. So I did some research and found a place out of Canada that had this concoction that they had put together for decades that people used to darken antlers. And I bought a sample of it, and I ended up buying more of it, and then I became a dealer. And within a year, I bought the company. I now own Deer Antler Magic. I've used, like I say, other types of sealants, whatever. When I was a kid, I used to stain them with like Minwax. It was horrid. Then that other crap that I bought, that was no good. The comparison to what Deer Antler Magic does and all these other things is night and day. There's not another antler coloring system on the market that will color moose, elk, deer, mule deer, white-tailed mule deer, caribou, all of them. Does it pretty much in one shot and can make it, you have total control of the color that you're doing, and it looks realistic when you're done in 1/10 the time of any other thing or system that you use. That's why I bought the company. I can't recommend it high enough to you, not just because I own the company. If you want real looking antlers, this is the only thing to use. I sell this to taxidermists, all kinds of people around the country that make chandeliers. I'm now selling it to a guy out of Georgia that does replica antlers. The stuff works, it's great. Please try it. Thank you very much. Yes, this is Pete Porter with Deer Antler Magic. I'm here today with James Smith Jr. of Granite State Hunting Adventures. We're going to show you a little bit about what Deer Antler Magic does. If you get it off eBay, it's going to come in a package like this. So this is exactly the way you'd get it. So let me open it up. It comes with directions, but if you see this video, you'll know all you need to know about how to do this. So there's the directions. And here's the package of Deer Antler Magic. Now I say there's enough in here to do 30 to 40 sets of antlers, but I'm assuming there's more than that. First thing I do is I start out with a couple pinches. I use a rocks glass. Probably holds 4 or 5 ounces. And this is lacquer thinner clean strip. Now, so I take another rocks glass and I pour a sizable amount, a couple fingers worth of that, and then I'll put enough of it in here to make a mud-like out of it. And then take a paintbrush, I'll mix that around. Move any excess I don't need back in there. It's not going to hurt anything. Now, imagine this was your father or grandfather's deer. This is 145 and 4/8, nice buck. This has been on the side of a building for 30 years, but it's bone white. It's got cracks in it. You wouldn't mount this and put it in your house and have it look good. But you can now with Deer Antler Magic. You can turn this around and make it look just like a fresh deer immediately. Let me show you how that works. Put some Deer Antler Magic on here. Start at the burr. Put a little color down. Work your way up. Now I've seen other videos that people use all kinds of stuff to do deer antlers, etc., to quote unquote make them look natural, and they don't look natural for one. And they takes 40 minutes, then you got to let it dry, and you got this mud crap all over you up to your elbows, and when you're done they're all the same color. You don't need that at all with Deer Antler Magic. You don't really worry about any runs, you just put it on. You wouldn't want to do this in the house. because of the smell. But outside it works perfectly. Usually I do both sides at the same time. I'll do one and then do the other, but I want to show you the difference on this one. So I'm going to do the burr a little bit darker because I think it looks better a little darker. And I'm going to blend it in. Now this evaporates very fast, so as you're doing it, it's drying. There's really no way to goof up on this. If you think you goofed up, you just go back over it with clear. Alright, I'm almost done with this side. Gonna get rid of any runs I got. Alrighty, at this point, I'll show you the differences in what I do. I'll take either a wet sandpaper, a dry sandpaper, steel wool or something, and I'll go over the burrs, because that's a part that'd be white anyway from hitting against the trees. I'll hit the burrs, and then I'll touch up the ends. You don't need to, it still looks great. Like I say, you take in consideration that was on the side of a barn for 30 years. They look pretty darn good right now. Now let me do the other side. After you've done a couple, you'll figure out, you know, what color to start at. Most people make them too dark right off the bat, so you're going to probably make them too dark, and then you'll figure out how to lighten them. I'm making this one really dark because I had to put 2 coats on the last one. There's no waiting 15 minutes in between for something else. The amount of time of that video I watched somebody else doing their stuff, I could do 30 sets of antlers in the time it took them to do 1 set. And it looks a lot better too. If it's too dark, go right back into the lacquer thinner. Use just straight lacquer thinner without re-dipping in the Deer Antler Magic, and it lightens it right back up. Now again, I want to make the burr a little darker just because I think it looks better. And when this dries, this set of antlers is done. Except for that run. It's now gone. We'll let those dry, and I'll show you another thing that we did. My friend Bruce Plummer gave me a bunch of antlers to play around with. Now, this one's all green and moldy, and this one was also. Now, I spent some time on this one with a wire brush, circular wire brush. It's still all cracked, it's still got some stuff on it, but I want to show you that you really wouldn't want this sitting on your dining room table or a coffee table, end table, but when I'm done with it, you would. Now I sell this to all kinds of people that are doing knives, shed antlers, chandeliers. I'm doing this so fast it's not quite dry when I'm at the other end. Still wet, but pretty darn close to done. And a far cry from what it started out as. So this will be dried in a minute. Let that dry. I've got a really white set down here. Well, it's a partial set. God knows how many years this has been out in the woods. White as white can be and chewed off about to there. But I'll get this one done in seconds. Okay, did that one a little lighter. If I want to make it darker, now I'll make it darker. I've decided now that's too dark for me. I go back into the lacquer thinner. And now it's medium. I'm going to do some moose antlers now. Usually the only difference between doing moose antlers is I use a bigger paintbrush and I use a bigger bucket. But because this is what I'm doing right now, these are some sheds from Bruce Plummer, I'll just use the same ones I use for deer. Still the two pinches I started with, that's what I'm using. You can see all the veins in this. It picks up everything. Now when you're done, you don't need to seal it with anything. If you want to go to a art store and you find out what it is they use for it's a clear, non-glare type of polyurethane. I think they use it on charcoals so that it won't smudge, because if you do something in charcoal and then you hit it with your oil on your fingers, it'll actually smudge. That you can use if you want. You don't need to. And that side's done. That's done. Again, this is going to dry in a minute, but that's a far cry from what it was. Let me grab another one, put them side by side. Now I'll do this other one. Still on those first two pinches. I wouldn't do this on Mother's table, I'll tell you, because I'm throwing stuff everywhere here. This one's primarily done. Again, besides drying. Another spot I didn't quite hit. Done now. Now these, I'd be honored to have these on my coffee table. I wouldn't have before. We got two sheds here, and this is typical. You'll find a shed, it's laying in the leaves. Top part's white, bottom part's got color. Well, you can't make them the same color. Yeah, you can. Antler Magic. Start right down here, work your way up. All right. I defy you to find where the dark was and the light is. Because it blends in so well. Once that's dry, that one's done. Here's another one, same thing. Really white here, underneath got some color. And after you're done with these, if you want to go back through, make them darker in some places, it just takes you seconds, you can see that. You want to make them lighter, go over with just the lacquer thinner, or take some sandpaper, sand it out a little bit. Alright, that looks like a fresh drop. And it will more once it's dry. That's all there is to that. I got one more here I want to do. Then I want you to see the difference between this 140-inch deer before I started on it and when I was done with it. And this is a moose head, and most of the time I don't even tape them off. I've done this stuff so much. What I do is I just come like this and I start at the burr. Work my way to the ends. And I'll flip it over. Do the same thing on the other side. Now this is all eaten, the ends are eaten up. It had been in the woods at least a year when Bruce Plummer found it. That side's done. Do the same thing on the other side. Now you can get deer antler magic from me through eBay. You can get it on Deer Antler Magic Yola site. You can get it through Facebook, Deer Antler Magic. James is my dealer for New Hampshire. You can get it through him at New Hampshire Shed Hunters. I'm assuming Grand Estate Hunting Adventures also. Now that's done. Far cry from what it started out as. Now, I've done 2 moose sheds, small set of moose antlers, 1, 2, 3, 4 deer sheds, and a 145-inch set, and I've still got half of those 2 pinches left. This is Deer Antler Magic. It is by far the finest deer coloration system, period, known to man. Check it out. Try it. Thank you very much.